What's up? Good evening, everybody. It is the Beast of the East podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. Also coming at you live from Willis Digital Media. I'm Corey Burton. I'm your host. Joining me as my co-host is Craig Ladd, and also joining us in the middle of the screen is our chat box. That's right. You have a voice on the show. So welcome in all you chatters. Again, we're the Beats of the East on the Believe Podcast Network. Anywhere you can find your podcasting needs, go find us on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, all those different places. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that bell. Follow us on Twitter. You can see all of our information right here down below. You can find me on also SEC After Dark, Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast, and the Illegal Motion College Football podcast as well. So, joining me is Craig
Corey,
Ladd. What's up, Craig?
It's dwindling down. We're less than 14 days, 2 weeks away from the first of college football. Hard to believe.
It's very hard to believe. I'm stoked. Our first game is this week. Actually, we've been in practice mode, so I'm excited about that. We're rocking and rolling through the month of August. So our show is presented by betonline.ag. All the live betting action that you need is there. If you're into sports betting, BetOnline is the place where you should go. You can go there and win some money today, whether it's live bets during games or futures or who you think will win a championship. BetOnline has all the latest odds, news, and information for your online sports betting needs. So visit the website today, use your mobile device to join, and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit, no matter which device you use. So before the next big game, head on over to BetOnline and start playing today. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. Let's get into it, Craig. We got a big show for you guys. Again, the chat is going. So, hey, is this thing on? Yes, it is. Willis Digital Media says it is indeed on. So, first topic, Will Levis, QB1 at Kentucky. Not surprised. It's probably one of the worst kept secrets of all time, but nonetheless is a true statement.
I agree with you. It wasn't a big surprise, and nor was it a big surprise that as a result, Joey Gatewood is in the transfer portal, which indicates to me that he was probably third string.
Yes. So that means Bo Allen probably finished and beat him out as number 2. So it's going to be fun to see them throw a forward pass. That'll be interesting for Kentucky. So I'm excited for that. Will Levis, again, is probably the most familiar with the Liam Cohen system. So, Mark Stoops making a bold decision going with the transfer.
Yeah, and let's be quite honest. This thing was wide open. Nobody, Gatewood didn't show anything last year when he was in ball games, and this thing was wide open. And Levis decided to transfer to Kentucky for a reason. He knew it was wide open. He had a good chance to be the starting quarterback, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And he brings all the tangible and intangible things to the table. I mean, guy has a big arm. He's athletic. He can move. He's familiar with the system. He does well in play action. He can, like I said, he can dance around in the pocket. He can do a bunch of different stuff. So I'm excited to see what he does for Kentucky. And this honestly boosts Kentucky up. I think that I was kind of skeptical of what they were going to do with the quarterback position. And now I think that brings a whole nother level of confidence to this Kentucky Wildcat team.
No, I agree with you. I think they're going to be more open, no doubt, than they have been in the past. I think they'll be slinging around a little bit more than you've seen because of Levis. And, obviously, they were very vanilla last year with their offense. There's no doubt about that. You can say what you want to about Eddie Grant, but you've got to have somebody that can throw the ball in order to throw it, or they become a very big liability.
Yeah, and you have to have something that goes with the run game, and I'm excited for it. Jake Thomas is in the house. You can catch him. He's on Tide Talk Sports on the Believe Network, and he's also our sister show on Best of the West. I say, and that comes on every Tuesday night, and they do a great job over there talking about the Western Division. It's Bama and everybody else. Actually, that's not true at all this year. If you want to really get bold, Brandon Boykin, formerly the Georgia Bulldogs and the Philadelphia Eagles and a couple other NFL ball clubs on currently on the SEC network, predicted Ole Miss was going to win the West on the J Boy show. So how about that?
Interesting. You know, I think Ole Miss is going to be very good. I don't think they're going to win the West, though. I really don't. I don't think they'll. I don't think they got enough. I still am very suspect of that defense, and you just cannot improve. As porous as their defense was last year, I just don't know how you can improve dramatically enough to beat the top teams in the West and win the West.
Yeah, and Jake Thomas coming in hot, picking. I know Vinny would be very happy with that comment. He thinks Kentucky is going to finish second behind Georgia in the East. I'm right there with you, man. I'm right there with you. I had Missouri for a long time, but now that they've picked a quarterback that can throw a forward pass, it just adds to their complement of weapons. So Kentucky definitely number 2 in the East. It's a very down East.
It is. I'm not going that way. I'm still going to take Florida, even though I don't think Florida is going to be, nearly as good as they have been. I just don't think they're as talented as they have been in the past. Even though I think they have more overall talent than Kentucky, and that's basically why I'm going with them. I just think in the trenches, depth. I just think they have more than Kentucky.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that, Florida's recruited that well, and Florida's recruited that way. So, you have to think that they're going to, they're going to put something together and really kind of make something of themselves. So, for Florida, it's going to be interesting East. I think that game is going to be very, very intriguing as far as can Kentucky make it 2 in a row? Can they do something in that game? So you would like to say that they have another dimension, but let's check in on the Vols, Craig.
Absolutely. It's still, we can talk about the quarterback battle. They had a scrimmage on Saturday, and from all of reports, that was Joe Milton, Hooker, and then Bailey. Maurer has not practiced 3 straight practices, and word has there's been rumors out there that was told that he wasn't going to be the starting quarterback, and this, that, and the other. So I'm sure he's weighing his options on what he wants to do, and probably the transfer portal. That's basically my guess. But that's been speculated that he was told that he was not going to be the starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, you get these 3 guys, Bailey, Milton, and Hooker. It's hard to crack that top 3, and so
right.
He needs to transfer, find a place where he can fit in, and just go. That's what he needs to do.
Well, I said from the get-go, the fact that they took Joe Milton as late as they did as a transfer, I thought was an indication that Heupel was not satisfied with the quarterbacks he had in the stable, and indications are so far that Milton has been the better quarterback of those 3 were 4. So, I think I would be surprised if Milton is not the starter against Bowling Green.
Which is odd to me because I felt like he struggled at Michigan to do some of the things that you want a starting quarterback to do. But we've got some questions on the chat. Emory Jones, is he the answer at Florida? What do you think about that?
That remains to be seen. I mean, to me, all the eggs are in his basket, and his head coach is 100% behind him and has said a lot of positive things about him. Again, he's played some, but it's always been second fiddle. When
Mhm.
the light is shining directly on you on every play, it becomes very tough. And some quarterbacks, their shoulders are not broad enough to take that.
Right.
We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of pressure. Gator Nation is certainly no small potato program. So I think Emory Jones is good in his own right. I think that Dan Mullen understands how to use guys like that because he's had guys like that at Mississippi State his entire tenure with, the likes of Nick Fitzgerald, Chris Ralph, Dak Prescott, those guys, those type of quarterbacks. I think you're going to see something different from Emory Jones that you saw from Kyle Trask. And Steve and I talk about this on SEC After Dark. Every time we bring up Emory Jones and the Florida Gators, I always caution and say, man, he better not try that Kyle Trask offense because that ain't gonna work. So that's my take on that.
I would feel better if Emory Jones, his first, I guess if the years were flipped. If last year it was Emory Jones, he was going to be the quarterback because of a graduation, I'd feel better about last year than I do this year, just because of all the other weapons that Florida had in
Mm-hmm.
2020 that they are not going to have this year.
Exactly. I think it's gonna. I mean, they lose so much, so it's gonna be kind of like it's going to be slim pickings. I mean, you have a lot of things that are not known. I mean, they have some good athletes. They've recruited well, so you can't say they have no talent. They just have no proven talent. You don't have that one guy that you can look at on this Florida offense and say, okay, that's the guy. Like you could look at Kyle Pitts and far and away say, that's the guy. Or Kadarius Toney. If it wasn't Kyle Pitts, you could say, oh, Kadarius Toney, that's the guy. And Dan Mullen has been surprisingly average in running the ball with the running back position,
Right.
and so that you know you get underproduction from a talented running back room that doesn't lend itself at all either, and so you don't have a strong running attack, and that's not kind of what Dan Mullen does. Dan Mullen runs with the quarterback very, very well, but he doesn't run with the running backs very well, which is ironic. And then you don't have those surefire weapons. What is this Florida team going to be? And until we figure that out, I have a hard time having them contend in the East until we can find out some of
I
those answers.
think he's going to have more internal pressure on him than he would have had last year, due to the fact, as you mentioned, Pitts, Grimes, and Tony. All three of those guys are going to be
Mm-hmm.
playing in the NFL in
Mm-hmm.
in a month or so on a Sunday. They're all very, very talented players. Without those guys, I think more pressure. He's going to have more internal pressure to have the feeling of, hey, I've got to make plays. I'm the guy. I've got to make plays. Where last year, I don't think that was the case, and I think Kyle Trask, he benefited from that tremendously.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. And he was somebody that even coming into last year, I was like, man, I don't know if Kyle Trask can get this thing done. So, um, but also positively, Ole Miss chimes in. He's asking, or whoever's running that account, wink, we know who it is. How does that Sean McVay offense translate to college football? He worries about the Bill Callahan and college experiment. Well, let's just say Sean McVay is superior offensive mind to Bill Callahan. Let's start there. Secondly, it fits right into what Kentucky does well because if you really look at a Sean McVay offense, it's a lot of play action, a lot of stuff off the run, a lot of stuff under center, moving the quarterback out of the pocket, booting him, throwing back, stuff like that. There's going to be the limit of RPOs and things like that. The real question is, how is Liam Cohen going to figure out what to pare this offense down to fit within the 20-hour a week rule? But this system as a whole is really, really good. I mean, you took a subpar quarterback at the NFL level in Jared Goff, and you went to a Super Bowl. And you competed in that Super Bowl for as much as you can against the Bill Belichick team. And so you take that offense, you put a legitimate quarterback in there. You have two really good running backs in Chris Rodriguez and Kavasi Smoke. You have a really good offensive line that can protect well. This is going to fit right into what
No,
Liam
I
Cohen
agree
wants
with
to do.
you. I agree 100% with that. I think it's going to be much better, obviously, than it was. Obviously, there's no 100% guarantee that it's going to, but I just think there's more sharing of information, and I'll say more implementation of offenses translating in pro, college, vice versa, than there was in the past. Most people say, "Oh, you can't run that in the pros; you'll get your quarterback killed." Well, we heard all about that, and lo and behold, we saw for one, Mike Vick, the offensive was run for him, and you know. Cam Newton. We go on and
Mhm.
on and on. They used to say, you can't have a running quarterback. Well, now everybody wants a quarterback in the running quarterback in the NFL.
Mhm.
So I think part of that translated to from college to the NFL, and you've had some guys, jump from college to the NFL and implement that. Cliff Kingsbury, for one, what he's done with Murray. I mean,
Mhm.
uh, you know, there's no way that happens probably 15 years ago.
Not a chance it happens 15 years ago. There's a
Yeah.
lot of running quarterbacks that are sitting there going, really, really, I could have been in the league, really. And even, I mean, even as early as like, or even as early back as the 2008, 2009. So, yeah, I mean, you look at the way that landscape has changed. I think college and pro, when it comes to schemes, are more and more intertwined. You got RPOs, running quarterbacks, zone reads, things like that coming up to the pro level, and then you've got some of the play action and under center stuff coming down to the college level that you see a lot of these pro style teams use. So I think it's going to fit really, really well. I think the problem with these NFL coaches is they have a hard time adjusting to the time restrictions. That's the biggest challenge. I think scheme is scheme, no matter how you slice it and dice it. Um, you just got to slice and dice it in the right way that you can find something that works that you can digest in that within those time constraints.
Yeah, and
And another guy that struggles with that is Todd Grantham.
yes, yes. Uh, like I said, and you mentioned the RPO. This would have been unheard of, as I said 15 years ago. There's no way these NFL teams would have risked their quarterback running the ball that much back then. But now it's become a vital part of all. I mean, every offense in the NFL is using this in some sort of way. So
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing how that works. But like I said, there's more sharing to me as far as knowledge goes, or if you want to say stealing of ideas. Either way,
Mm-hmm.
how you want to put it, than there has been in the past. And you know what works as far as I'm concerned. Football is football. You know, it just obviously you can't you know what 40 years ago, the wishbone was it. There's no way there was going to be a wishbone in the NFL. But
Mm-hmm.
now, as the passing game has just been developed and continues to be developed, and just uh, ways that you get down the field much faster, and they used to be, you know, the Patriots put this bet. Oh, you got to run the ball. You got to run the ball. They ran enough just to keep the defense honest, and the rest of the time it was a short passing game. It was basically long handoffs, if you want to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really um, evolved, as I'll say, because these guys have realized that throwing the ball downfield, you can control the clock. There's the short passing game. You can control the clock everybody's about worried about their defense getting tired all the time because, you're throwing the ball down the field and boom, 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 and your defense is back out there. But, obviously you can control the clock by throwing the ball more. And I think, obviously, that's what Tennessee's going to do with Josh Heupel. He's going to dink and dunk all the way down the field.
Yeah, no doubt. And, to me, like watching Joe Milton at Michigan, he reminds me of a lot of Emory Jones, just the way they play, the style of the style of quarterbacking they are. I think they remind me a lot of each other. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how he fits into that Josh Heupel offense where it's, let's go 100 miles an hour. Not a whole lot of quarterback running, but maybe there's that element that comes to it with the Josh Heupel system. I don't know. I guess we might see it unveiled depending on, if he's smart, he'll kind of tailor his system around what he has and not what he wants it to be. Eventually, he can recruit it to what he wants it to be. If he wants to run the true Josh Heupel system that you saw at UCF, Harrison Bailey has to be your guy. Like that's the only guy I think that can really execute that style of offense. But if you're going to go with Hendon Hooker or Milton, you've got to change it up a little bit because I think both of those guys are probably closer to the Emory Jones, Dak Prescott, running quarterback that, it is really dangerous in the run game, has some accuracy issues. The English language is kicking my butt tonight. And, just stuff like that. So, but the chat, man, it's blowing up, man. I really like this chat feature. It's right in the middle of us. It's like right there front and center. Jake Thomas says, in Florida still has Todd Grantham as defensive coordinator. I don't know how. But yes, that is 3 automatic losses right there. I do agree. It's no longer third and Grantham. It's just first and Grantham, second and Grantham, third and Grantham, and fourth and Grantham even. So you're just screwed with Grantham. I think it's the end of the road for him. He just was a guy that couldn't figure all that out.
Well, I've said this before, and you have too. I was surprised that he made it. I was surprised he's going to make it another year there. Just how porous the defense was, especially late in the year, and then the obvious, TV cameras catch the obvious blow ups by Mullen towards him, and the confrontations they had. There's just no way I would have thought that he would be back. It really surprised me. I kept waiting for it to happen, and it never happened.
I know. I kept waiting, saying, "Okay, who are they going to hire as their defensive coordinator? Yeah. Is he going to go after Dan Lanning? Is he going to come back after?" I didn't know what Manny Diaz's fate would be at Miami. They've made stranger hirings and firings there, but I don't understand it. I don't know what he's proven to let them know that he's the guy at this point, because it's gone from bad to worse. They have not filled those outside edge rushers back the way that they had them 2 seasons ago in 2019, where they were really good off the edge and they're really good at getting pressure on the quarterback. That's where they kind of thrived. I guess that's where he made his name. But he didn't have those same pass rushers, and he didn't have those guys getting after it. And when you lose some people to the NFL and you don't replace them, like I see this happening with the offense too now. Like you lose Pitts and Tony, like it's hard to replace Pitts and Tony regardless of the situation. Those are two super talented players. But now you got to replace them. You have a mediocre backfield. Offensively, you don't know what's going to happen. Defensively, you have some guys go to the NFL. You have some guys that have underachieved. And you have a lot of guys that are still, I think, not learning the playbook because it is about a mile thick.
Well, I agree with you. I don't see – there's not that guy that on either side of the ball that you as an opposing coach, coordinator, has to game plan for. We've got to do this to player A right here in order for us to win, in order for us to move the ball. so on and so forth. That guy's not there.
Right.
That guy was there. I could think of, 3 of them from last year,
Yeah.
just right off the top of my head. But that guy is not there. Day one, game one, that guy's not there. I don't see that guy. Now, that guy may be there after 5 games, but that guy's not there right now.
Yeah, exactly. And will he get there? Who knows? But our next topic on, I guess the chat is kind of like our sub topic generator here. Jake Thomas is like doing a great job producing here, getting the assist, asking all the right questions. Props to you, Jake. He says, fellas, how do you see South Carolina being this year? I think they could potentially win 6 games in Beamer's first year, but a lot has to fall into place. But that would be a huge win for Shane in his first year. Man, you have some confidence in Shane Beamer. I don't have that same level of confidence right now. I think maybe eventually he'll get there. This is not the year. A lot has to fall into place. There has to be some injuries, some teams falling apart. This South Carolina roster outside of Kevin Harris and Nick Muse is pretty rough. So it's going to be a rough year in Columbia, South Carolina.
I agree with you. I don't see. I don't
see any wins on this.
Yeah, I don't see how they could win 6 games. If he does win 6 games, he needs to be. He should be SEC Coach of the Year. I really think that. I just don't. To me, you're going to compare to, I'll say 4th place, Tennessee. Well, I'll say Tennessee, Missouri, and South Carolina. I would definitely give Tennessee and Missouri the notch above South Carolina for that 4th place in the East.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I see it going Georgia, Kentucky, Florida, Missouri, Tennessee, and then the winner of the South Carolina Vandy game.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that. It's a toss-up at this point. I mean, you're closer to Vandy than you are Kentucky and South Carolina right now, which is pretty sad. Like, outside of Vanderbilt, had Vanderbilt not been as pitiful as they were, South Carolina would have definitely taken that. South Carolina's probably thanking Vanderbilt for being so pitiful. But yeah, the fighting Clark Lees, Colton Gaudier for Heisman says positively Ole Miss. Jake Thomas, appreciate it, sir. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be rough in Gamecock land. It just South Carolina fans, hold on. Shane Beamer saying all the right things. He seems to be recruiting a little bit better than expected. So hang on. Emory Jones would be the best quarterback not named Dak that he had at MSU. Yes, that's definitely true. He's definitely talented. The production will, if you're a Florida fan, hopefully follow. I don't see it. I think Antoine Richardson, the backup on that roster, could potentially be better. And if Emory Jones goes down, that might be a blessing in disguise for Dan. I think the best thing to happen for Florida would be maybe for Emory Jones to go down for a game or two, and then Antoine Richardson come in and take over the starting job. For everybody else, best case scenario is Emory Jones. And until they prove me wrong, which I will come on here and eat a giant plate of crow with Heinz 57 steak sauce, and Heinz 57 did not pay me for that. They could, but they didn't. And I will say that I'm wrong if Emory Jones turns out to be what he's being hyped up to be. I don't see it, not yet, at least. So, but yeah, Clark Lee, they're doing some good things down there. As you know, Jake, Steve and I are the president and vice president of the Ken Seals fan club. I'm on board. Again, they got new unis, new swag. They're getting some remodeling done to the McGugin Center. They need to fix that stadium. It hadn't been fixed since Kurt Page was playing quarterback there in 1984. I was 1 year old the last time that stadium saw any changes.
Yeah, me too. I'm
37 now. So that's quite a bit of time. Quite a bit of time. I'll be 38 this year. Vanderbilt Stadium is probably way older than
Yes,
that.
it is.
They could have like hosted all the high school championship games. Like that would have been perfect for Vanderbilt to do. And I just don't think TSSAA wanted to host it there. Like they opted for Chattanooga over Nashville. Chattanooga won the bid. Not to go beast of the TSSAA, but there you go.
Yeah,
Right?
I think too. It has been there in the past. I actually called a state championship game from Vanderbilt at one point, and so it has been there in the past. But I think the TSSAA, just to get off the subject a little bit, I think TSSAA wants to be in a city where they will be guaranteed top bill for their football championships, and that's not going to happen in Nashville.
No, it's not. It's not.
And that's the reason that I think they went to Cookeville, it been in Murfreesboro, and then now Chattanooga, because it's not going to happen in Nashville. There's just way you got the Predators, you've got the Titans. It's just way too much stuff going on in Nashville nationally to draw the attention that the TSSAA wants.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And that's what it is, man. So Vanderbilt, fix your stadium, please. Some news from Athens. Speaking of, this is ADD radio coming at you at its finest. Speaking of, I want to make sure I hit on all the topics before we get out of here. But Arik Gilbert, star transfer, is no longer with the team. He is not off the team. He is just not with the team right now, dealing with some personal issues. Apparently had an altercation with Kirby Smart at practice. I had some choice words for him. But the kid that's going through some stuff, you can't cuss out the head coach no matter what you're going through. That's never a good strategy. But he's going through some things, and you hope, and this is the second case of some sort of mental health break within this program. First it was Scott Cochran, now it's Arik Gilbert. So I mean, this COVID thing is real. The depression and the mental health problems that come from this is real. Arik Gilbert's had a rough go at it. I mean, he was ousted basically unofficially from LSU at grades wise, whatever, academics, didn't fit in campus, things like that. Goes to Florida, stays about a month, and goes back in the transfer portal, ends up at Georgia, and now he is contemplating his future with the Dogs. So what do you think about all this? I mean, knowing what we know about Arik Gilbert, I'm still surprised, but then again, he's dealt with a lot. So, you just hope that he pulls through it. And
absolutely, his welfare is paramount in this. He needs to get whatever is causing these problems rectified, and his personal health is obviously more important than his football skills needed on a Saturday. That being said, I hope he gets selfishly, I hope he gets everything back together, because, I like watching him play. I want to see him out there on Saturday. You hate to see guys that have immense talent like he does and not be able to showcase it.
Yeah, absolutely. And, he's super, super talented. I mean, the guy can do a lot of different things. He's going to be the next Kyle Pitts. For Georgia, he was going to be within the rotation of big time playmakers there. But so you can't help but think, if you are, obviously you feel for the kid, he's dealing with a lot, but then where does that leave Georgia's receiver room? I think that Georgia still has plenty of weapons. I think it's whether he comes back or not. Like I said, you hope he does. You hope he figures it out whether he comes back or not, but you hope he's okay. But when you look at the flip side of it, what is he leaving behind on that roster? And you've got a lot of promise there with that wide receiver room. 3 talented sophomores coming in. You got a true freshman that's coming in that had a huge spring game in Adonai Mitchell. Justin Robinson again is turning some heads at camp. That's 5 guys right there, without even talking about Kyrus Jackson, Dominic Blaylock as well. So you got 7 guys at the wide receiver spot that can really, really make some hay there. So the 3 sophomores I'm talking about is Marcus Roseby, Jack Saint, Arian Smith, and Jermaine Burton. And then, of course, Donnie Mitchell, Justin Robinson, Kyrus Jackson, Dominic Blaylock. You got tight ends, Darnell Washington, Brock Bowers, and then even John Fitzpatrick is no slouch either. Then you got James Cook out of the backfield, Kendall Milton out of the backfield, Kenny McIntosh out of the backfield. So you've got weapons. You've got a lot of them. So I am not worried that this receiver room is left threadbare. I think it's still a strength. Again, it's a lot of unproven talent outside of Jermaine Burton. It's a lot of guys that have flickered a little bit, but never really blown up. Jermaine Burton is probably the most proven out of that whole bunch. So, but still, nonetheless, lots of talent there. If it holds to the I guess to the
Well, it could happen to a worse position, not just for Georgia. They're thin there on experience. The one thing that he would bring to the table is experience, something that they are lacking a lot of in that wide receiver position. You mentioned promise. There is promise there, but again, it's just promise. The experience is light. And you wonder how heavily they're going to lean on that running game to begin with, just for lack of experience. These guys are new, running the wrong route, throwing the ball where you were supposed to be, ends up getting intercepted, that type of thing, this, that, and the other. But like I said, it is a position that is thin for Georgia, and we'll see. They're going to obviously get tested right off the bat, taking on Clemson. So we'll find out really quick. And there'll be some guys to step up in that wide receiver position, and make you feel better. But at this point right now, it's a question mark.
It is, because they haven't had the experience. But you look at the talent and some of the things that these guys have done. They all have had some sort of rapport with JT Daniels at certain points during his brief run last year, where Rosemy had a huge catch in the Florida game and instantly broke his leg after taking a vicious hit. Adonai Mitchell had a great spring game. He was making plays all down the field. Jermaine Burton, of course, was popped all last year. Again, the most experienced. So, a lot of these guys have played at this level, so they're not coming in completely new and fresh. We know a little bit about these guys, but when you look at ability to carry an offense, we just don't know who that guy's going to be yet.
Right.
You think it's going to be Jermaine Burton, but we don't know for sure. And they all do different things well. Like Arian Smith is going to take the lid off the defense. Like that's kind of what he does. He's kind of the deep shot guy. Him and Adonai Mitchell are the 2 deep shot guys. Jermaine Burton is going to be all over the intermediate routes and double moves and make tough contested catches and get tough yards. Then you've got Kyrus Jackson playing in the slot, running across the field, running short routes, running corners, just doing all kind of different things there. You have Dominic Blaylock, which not really sure what we have in Dominic Blaylock because he's gotten hurt so frequently. We still just don't really know what he can do on a consistent basis. We don't know how those legs are going to respond. And then, Washington is a freaking nightmare matchup for whoever he's matched up against. And then Bowers is somebody that's really the light bulb has come on, but he's still just a freshman. Justin Robinson, we don't know a ton about him. He's still just a freshman. Adonai Mitchell, still just a freshman. So the bright lights against Clemson, that could do some different things. But I agree with you on some points, and I disagree with you on some points about the wide receiver spot. It's not thin in the way that you think it's thin.
Thin on
there's talent
experience.
there.
How's
It's
that?
unproven. Yeah. Thin on experience. I can get behind that. Thin on experience. Don't know exactly what we got right now in the mix of guys that we need. But I do know this: Georgia's going to be aggressive. I have to not say we, because this is not the Believe in Georgia Dogs podcast. But Georgia's not going to be. They're going to be aggressive. They're not going to be the ground and pound team that they've been. They have a quarterback that can do it. They have a coordinator that's itching to push the ball downfield and be aggressive. In Todd Monken, he doesn't take this job to have Kirby tell him, okay, let's run it 3 times and punt and let our defense go to work. Like, you can't play that way anymore. I think Kirby finally realizes that, and so I don't think he's going to let this receiver situation stop it. To be honest,
the thing, obviously George Pickens is a tremendous talent, and the thing you miss most about him is, as I said before, his experience. You knew what you were going to get with him. He's proven himself, what he can do when he's on top of his game. He can be a game changer. That's what they're really, really going to miss with Pickens being out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Pickens is a guy that can take over a game. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, hands down. I mean, that's a big void to be left. I don't care who you are.
Wow.
Immense talent, just grit, just that. I mean, he's a dog, like, pun intended. Like, he is like there's a contested catch, he's gonna go get it, and he's gonna get in your face about it. He has a little bit of attitude about him, in a good way. I think he doesn't overdo it. Sometimes he does. He's still a little immature, but for the most part, he doesn't overdo it. He's very competitive, very gritty. So I like that.
He reminds me of a
side.
more talented Jawan Jennings.
Oh yeah.
That's who
absolutely. That's a great comparison.
That guy that's just you're gonna throw it up the 50-50 ball, he's gonna get it. You throw it in the air, it's not a 50-50 ball anymore. It's more of a 70-30. When it goes up in the air, because you got confidence that he's going to catch the ball, he's going to come down with it.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to know the impact of George Pickens, go watch that game against Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. He took that thing over.
Yeah.
So go check that out. He made sure that Matt Rule had a perfect, sarcastically speaking, perfect send off to the NFL, in which he's like, yeah, I'm not looking really. We don't know. I want to stay at Baylor. And then hours after the game, he's like, yeah, I'm going to be the head coach of Carolina Panthers. which to me, if you really want to know, that's a great thing for him. I don't care if he gets fired mid-season for the Carolina Panthers. That was still the right move, because you're leaving Baylor. My feelings on Baylor is not very strong, if you catch my drift there. Not to go beast of the Big 12, but that's my thoughts on that. But so yeah, I think that the situation is going to be interesting for the Georgia receiving corps. And again, to circle this all back around, I hope that Arik Gilbert is okay at the end of the day. And Jake, I'm glad you were able to co-produce our show with us. Yes, get your questions ready next week. Just run them through, just rapid fire those things, man. We appreciate you being part of the chat. You made it fun. Now get your friends involved, right? So
I was going to say,
I'm not real sure how long we've been going.
Yeah, did you see that the AP Top 25 is out?
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I've been in practice mode. I haven't seen these things. Do tell.
We'll go over the SEC. Alabama 1, Georgia 5. You have Florida.
Who's in between them?
Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State. In that order. I was a little surprised that Oklahoma overtook Clemson. Well, I wouldn't say overtook, but Oklahoma at 2 and not Clemson. Other SEC, as I said, Florida at 13, LSU at 16.
What?
And yeah, that's it.
What?
That's it for the top 25. So
no Ole Miss?
No Ole Miss.
No. Where's A&M?
They barely missed it.
Did we skip over A&M?
Yeah, yes, I did skip over. A&M is 6. I'm sorry. Good point.
I was about to
I
say, I was
miss,
like, dang on,
yeah,
man, this is brutal, man. This is
yes,
brutal.
miss A&M at 6. My
Yeah,
bad.
I mean,
Went right over them.
okay.
Flashback to the old Big 12. How's
Yeah,
that? No.
there you go. You
Yeah,
you left them out like so you were on the playoff committee, weren't you? You left
that's
them out.
exactly right. I wanted
You
them out.
left him
But
out. There it goes. So
looking
A&M
at
fans
those the SEC, I think Florida's too high. I don't think they're number 13.
way too high.
I just don't.
Where's all this love coming from?
I
Like they have Todd Grantham as their defensive coordinator, and they lost so much firepower. Like where's
I
this coming from? I get
yeah, I get
Alabama
it too.
because
I get
they've
right.
proven that they reload and that they have the ability to reload. I get
Yeah,
Alabama, I really do. Um,
yeah.
but Florida,
Here's one for you. Hey, here's one for
LSU,
you right here, Corey.
oh man,
Georgia got three
yeah.
first place votes. Ohio State just one.
So how they what? I don't go. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I guess I'm lost. I guess right. I don't get it. Like I think Ohio State's good, Clemson's good, Oklahoma's good. Georgia's better than all three of those teams. I think Georgia's definitely better than Clemson. I do agree with you on that, Jay. Ohio State. Yeah, I mean, well, we can have a discussion about that. That might be a topic I bring up with Israel. That could be a discussion. Oklahoma, okay, I see it. You have Spencer Rattler. You have Eric Gray, Wanya Morris coming back on offense. You have I think you have like 8 starters coming back on defense. I get the Oklahoma love, but like Clemson, like come on, man, like Clemson loses Sunshine and ETN.
Again, that's
Like,
a
come on, man.
reputation pick there too. You know,
DJ Ungolele is
I,
not.
like I said, I'm
Trevor Lawrence.
surprised. I'm surprised. I expected to see Clemson second. Not saying they deserve to be second. Just that I just expected them to be second, just on reputation at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, when you talk about returning talent, I mean, you know, why is Georgia not higher? I guess losing George Pickens kind of knocked him on the list. I see that, but still, that defense. Oh my God. A&M, I think they're properly. I think they sit properly.
Yeah.
They've got a quarterback battle they got to figure out. But my God, are they good on defense?
Yes, they are.
Ole Miss not being in the top 25, asinine.
I agree. They should be in the top 25. I agree 100% with that.
That is some Chad Kelly bull jive.
Yeah. Listen, the SEC West is going to be that good. I know we're the beast of the East, but the SEC West is going to be that good to where the third place team is going to be in the top 25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no doubt.
It's going to be insane.
No doubt.
It's going to be insane. Like you're going to get half the damn conference in the top 25. It's going to be insane. And I can't wait till they improve. I can't wait till they expand this field to 12, so you can get four SEC teams and just say F you to everybody else and have an all SEC semifinal. That'd be insane. But to have Alabama and Georgia and then whoever the other two teams are, cool. Let's just duke it out. Let's just make it an in-home thing, right? So I don't mind seeing Oklahoma up there. They're joining the conference. That brings us. I consider them SEC right now. So I guess you could say Oklahoma is still they're SEC. They're with us. They're officially members. They just haven't started yet.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I don't.
And there's Texas at 21.
So, I don't consider them. I mean, there's a lot of love for Texas. I don't get the love for Texas. I think they're going to finish middle of the pack in the Big 12 at best.
Yeah, they're
on a league of motion.
Again, the head coach gets them there at 21.
He does. Yeah, he does. That's a reputation thing too. So, the top 25. Interesting. It's gonna be fun how this one shapes out. I think this is gonna be a fun season because there's a lot of teams that are good. Like we on Illegal Motion, we just did our Big 10 and Big 12 previews, and I guess we'll call the Big 12 not to copy the one of the greatest docu series in the history of docu series, The Last Dance, but this is the last dance for the Big 12.
It is. It is. It's
Um,
going to there. It
and
will.
so
Whatever version is going to be. Obviously there've been talk about the Big 12 and the ACC and the Pac-12 forming an alliance. But I tell you what, I could see the Big 12 getting the remaining teams being left out in the cold.
yeah, it's just not going to be fun for the Texas Techs and the Baylors of the world. But because Baylor ain't going to the Pac-12, they're not going to take a religious institute with a bunch of scandal. That ain't gonna happen. Texas Tech ain't going to the Pac-12 because they're not good enough academically, and they don't really bring anything in any other sport. They ain't going to the Big Ten for the same reason. I don't know where those two teams end up, but that's a different story for a different time. But in doing those previews, like there's some pretty good teams, and there's some potential in the Big Ten and Big 12. I really like Kansas State. I really like Iowa State, and I really like TCU this year. TCU got a couple of Nashville kids, TJ Carter and Obin Easy, to join their squad. I think they're going to be tough in the Big 12. Texas is going to have something to say about that in the Big 12 as an SEC member. They have to represent well. Big 10, I really like the Gophers. I think they're going to make some noise. Indiana's well coached. Penn State, I think, is going to bounce back if they clean up their turnovers. So, there's going to be some conferences that are very, very competitive. The ACC with NC State, that's going to be a surprise team to look out for. They're on Mississippi State's schedule. So, Jake, you may want to talk about that. Penn State's on Auburn's schedule. You may want to talk about that on Best of the West. But I think it's going to be a fun year in college football. That was the point. The whole top 25 is take a picture of it now. It's going to be drastically different 3 weeks into the season.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's going to be so much to happen. There's going to be some key injuries that are going to cost teams a lot. There's going to be some guys to step up out of nowhere that we've not even thought about. That turn themselves into superstars, and then that's what makes college football the great game it is. I love it. Can't wait for it to get here. The 28th, there'll be no SEC games, but I'll be watching games. There is no doubt about that.
All right. So, man, it's been an exciting show. I never thought that turning these three topics into what we turned it into was going to happen, but thanks to our co-producers Jake and Cassidy Thomas.
Yes, Cassidy adds some class to the broadcast, and we appreciate it.
See, Jake, she added emojis. She's using an emoji, so you got to step up your game, my man. So Cassidy, props to you. All right, props to you. Thanks for the kind words. And Jake, you're killing it with Best of the West. This is going to be an awesome lineup. Best of the West, Beast of the East with us. And of course, SEC After Dark. That's where Steve and I wrap it all up. We're going to be joined by Jed Beecham as our third co-host as soon as he gets settled in. So that's fun. Again, you can catch me on Believe in Georgia Dogs on the Believe Network, and again, our man Jake Thomas on Tide Talk Sports, also on the same network. So, Craig, that's going to wrap it up for us, man. Any last thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No, just there's still a lot of question marks for a lot of SEC teams out there. You can really almost name one particular thing where there's a question mark. There is no clear-cut favorite, even though Alabama's number one in the AP poll. This Alabama team for 2021 is nowhere near the 2020 version. So there's question marks for them also.
Yeah. The biggest question mark for Alabama, and Jake, you can expound on this on your show tomorrow. I'm going to play co-producer for you for a second. Is Bill O'Brien for real? Like, is he going to actually do something for you guys, or is he going to try to trade away Bryce Young for a 4th round pick? What's going to happen there? I'm not on the Bill O'Brien train at all.
Yeah.
And I hate that y'all made. I really did not like that hire. I thought I don't know who you could have gotten, but I imagine it probably could have been better than Bill O'Brien. So, I mean, it's Alabama. There's a lot of talent, so that's gonna supersede a lot of his mistakes. But man, like, I guess Saban has really kind of taken this coaching rehab thing.
Yes,
to
he
heart,
is.
man.
He
But,
is. This is his Frankenstein right here. So we'll see what happens.
yeah, well, God, if he can resurrect
That's
Bill O'Brien's
right.
career, man, it's just freaking mic drop, man. Like, yeah, I mean, this is like if there was ever any doubt about Saban being the GOAT, I mean, this is going to pretty much shatter any remaining doubters. Like, it just hands down. Like, if Alabama wins anything, if Alabama even wins the conference this year, GOAT. Like, you win it with Bill O'Brien as your offensive coordinator and reload and replacing all of everything replacing 4 first rounders. Sorry,
Yeah.
4 first rounders. No, like 6 on the offense. Because you had 2 linemen. And I think that like 2 others got drafted like in the 2nd round or something like that. Something crazy. Like, you're replacing a lot. Waddle, Smith, Jones, Harris. Those are your first rounders. Like, it's insane what Alabama's trying to replace. And Alabama's the only team that I would have confidence in that could do that. But not Bill O'Brien. So, and as you see that great trade piece he got from the Cardinals, David Johnson's he's the 3rd string running back now. He's behind Philip Lindsay and Mark Ingram. So go figure, right? That's how well that move worked out for him. But he's no longer there with the Houston Texans. That's a mess of a franchise right there. So we won't get into that. But anyway, I probably spent that was the Bill O'Brien hour for Beast of the East. But Craig, we're going to wrap up for real this time. That was I lied to you earlier, but we're going to wrap up for you now. We are the Beast of the East podcast. We are on the Believe Podcast Network. So find us, like, subscribe, do all that stuff where you find your podcast. Follow our social media accounts right there below. Subscribe to Willis Digital Media. Subscribe to Believe in Georgia Dogs on YouTube. Find us on Twitch. Positively Ole Miss. Find them. They're on Twitch. I know nothing about Twitch. So if you can teach me, that would be awesome. Find us on Twitter. Find us anywhere. Instagram, wherever you want to on social media. Believe in Georgia Dogs has a TikTok account. Hadn't used it, but we have one. Going to figure out how to use that as well. I'm going to be well-versed in all the Gen Z apps. So for Craig Ladd, I'm Corey Burton. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And we will see you back here next week as we close into opening day of the college football season. We are the Beast of the East, presented by betonline.ag. Thank you and good night.